live tonight on American Zombie. Like I say, what's up to everybody out there? Got the link pinned to the top of the chat. Who really built America? It's a deep question. We get a lot of people that are very, very opinionated about that question. If anybody just looks it up and says, who built America? It's not going to say Christians. It's not going to say the working class. It's going to show you that it was a certain group of men that none of these guys today are related to. And I put the thumbnail of a picture of something that might speak without speaks more than words, because it's a picture. Because you see like the so-called demonic influence that are put in there next to the statues. Like, there's in some religions that they say that the reason that they don't want any idols or statues is that they could become, I don't know, possessed or something like that. If somebody that, I think different religions have different views on why there's no graven idols. I know the Roman Catholic talk about that, but yet there's graven idols all over their churches and cathedrals and stuff like that. But there could be other reasons. When we look at the straightforward answer, the men who built America, you're looking at Vanderbilt, J.P. Morgan, Carnegie, Ford, Rockefeller. These are the figures that shaped the U.S. economy following the Civil War. So this is post-civil, and pre-civil. Then it gets into the labor and working class, but the labor and working class weren't working just freelance. They were working under people that owned property, that owned plantations, that owned things that would eventually progress into the modern day America we see. You also have social leaders, Theodore Roosevelt and all of that, but we already know that a lot of that stuff is a lot of it is, you have to look through the history. It's like you got to do the research. You got to research his story and then the whole story if you can find it. But who built America? The reason I decided to call it this, I was going to get into something more with ethnicity and how they're really, it seems like they're trying somehow. The media is just, right now with the thing that's happening in Minnesota, it just, I don't even know what to classify it as. Some people are saying that it's diverting and distracting people from some type of big billion-dollar thing that was stolen recently. I don't know where exactly, if anybody knows any details on that. About basically they're trying to say that the Minnesota thing, even though as real as it is, it seems to be a distraction from something else, in my opinion. It's possible. Not saying that it totally is, but again, like I said, those two names, the guy Pretty and then the woman Good, and you look at that on a thumbnail and it's like Pretty Good, and it's like something is just odd about that. I haven't been able to put my finger on it, but something is odd. And this all goes back to, you have the people that are committing atrocities. These are the people, these are the flag wavers. You can see the videos of them. They're interrogating people if they have an accent. This is the funny thing. I was just speaking with somebody and I said, yeah, you have the videos of these so-called builders of America questioning people because they have a Latin accent. But if a guy has a Russian accent, it's not a problem. I wonder what the difference is there. This is becoming like a very increasingly serious, more serious problem, because it's always been a problem. And when we look at people that say, well, America was built by these people or this and that. So in other words, these are the same zombies that want to take credit. They have their pride, their ego gets overgrown. And now they'll say, you know what? They didn't have nothing to do with slavery. And they didn't. None of us did. But they'll be quick to take credit for accomplishments that they didn't do. So you see the back and forth here. You see the immaturity here. When somebody tells you that their ancestors built America, they didn't build it. So they're basically trying to take credit for something they didn't do. But then on the other hand, we say, okay, you want credit for that? Fine, right? Okay, you want to say you built it? Well, then you also got to take credit for the other stuff. You can't avoid accountability for what was done. So you say, okay, yeah, all right, they built it. You didn't build it. But then when it comes to taking responsibility on how they built it through basically grape, pillage, and plunder, and this is documented, now all of a sudden, hey, I didn't own slaves and all of that. And none of us did, but you also didn't build a country. You see? And this is the immaturity. Good rising, my brother Christopher. Always a pleasure, bro. Always a pleasure, man. Good rising. It really, when I think about like the whole modern world, it's fascinating to me that we can see so many different types, and I'm not going to say levels of civilization, because we just don't see people treating each other with civility. We just don't see that. You know, people, honestly, I don't think a lot of people understand the meaning. And again, it goes back to the zombified people, you know, civil, right? Courteous and polite. Somebody tried to be civil to him. They tried to be courteous and polite. So it also relates to ordinary citizens, but, you know, like they say, a civil servant, right? Somebody working basically for the government or the state. But civil on the whole is polite, courteous, respectful in your interactions. Do we see that? And Christopher, you said it best. Civilization is not civilized. Exactly, bro. If it was, it'd be beautiful. It would, man. EC, what's up, man? He says, hey, MD, I'm late to the situation, but I saw that base. What? Oh, man. He said that Black Ball is too mainstream. Oh, my man. You know, and I wrote Base Pluto last year, a couple of months ago. He never wrote me back. I don't know if it's because I'm writing him from, you know, the new email. If anybody got contact with him, please let him know. I mean, I hope he's all right, man. Wow. I didn't know, man. That guy, what's up, man? He says Anglo-Germanics are claiming the achievements of the Spanish, even though 100 years ago they viewed the Spanish as an inferior. Oh, man, thank you for letting me know that, bro. It's so funny because, you know, it's actually, that's the way I like to look at it, to laugh and say, man, can you like, just look at the hypocrisy. Look at I mean, this is great, man. It's like they try to take achievements, you know, and then, but those people, they're not as, you know, we're, you know, that whole superior inferior notion is just ridiculous. Some people have better skills at certain things, and some people have better skills at other things. And that's just what it is. But the whole thing like that, it really gets people against each other, man. It's crazy, man. Mr. Rex, my brother, good to see you, bro. Always a pleasure, man. As for Varun, always a pleasure to see you here, man. Thank you, bro. And EC says, I agree that the infant stage of the BP became mainstream thanks to TikTok. I heard I don't have a TikTok or an IG, but I heard it was getting big on TikTok. The looks max and focusing on dynamics. The evolve stage talks about deeper topics. Yeah, I mean, you know, and I have to admit that Scribe and a few others, you know, I value what they say. He's trying to, you know, he tells me about, you know, going back into that. I don't think I'm gonna Yeah, I don't see too much in that. Yeah, I really don't see too much in the dating space. Mr. X, what's up, bro? How's everything?
Good, good. Real proud of you, MD, streaming every night. You've been making my life a lot easier, bringing your knowledge. So I want to thank you for that and tell you you're doing a great job. Great job.
Wow, thank you, Mr. X. I gotta thank you for being here and always being supportive, man. I
Hmm.
wouldn't be able to do it without people like you, bro. And you come on the stream too. So you put in a lot of people tell me, like people that I know in real life that listen to the show, like on Restream, and even people on the internet, they talk, they say, yeah, that guy, Mr. X, brings a lot of knowledge. Like I was speaking with a guy today, and I forgot what it was that you had said. It was something about um I think it was something about like the something with Florida somebody had mentioned.
Hmm.
And but I told him, I said, yeah, I said when Mr. X is on, we get deep conversations, especially I think it was something with evolution. Because
Okay.
he was pointing toward something I said and then something you said. And I think it was when I was referring to you can't even find a bicycle, you know, and oh yeah. And then he goes, yeah, Mr. X said that, yeah, by the time the handlebars are formed, the chain would rust, you know? So like you had brought up like some good points in saying, yeah, even if you did, you know, if they did try to say, oh yeah, it could form, we just see how ridiculous it is to say that things are going to form one part at a time, because you and I know that that one part that forms is not going to wait in a stasis for the other part to form and join to it.
Exactly.
Um, and yeah, he pointed that out to me, and I was like, wow. I was like, I'm glad you know you like the show. And he's a guy I knew since high school, really cool guy, and very knowledgeable. But yeah, man,
Really
this is
appreciate that. I
yeah.
appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate you, man. I mean, you bring a lot to the show. It's when he told me that, I was like, wow. I was like, yeah, man. I said it's always good. You know, I said we have some really really good conversations, Mr. X and I. Said actually some of the streams that him and I have done together have turned out to be some of the best streams, because we're just talking like two people cordially, and
Hmm.
there's no shouting over each other. It's such a respectful conversation. I would hope that other people that come on would learn from that. And
Exactly.
yeah, you know, it just that guy says MAGA likes to compare America to Rome and say the migrants are coming in are the barbarians who invaded Rome. I don't. Wow, they are more likely to descend from the Germanics who took over Rome. I think yeah, well they definitely you know there is something like this being like Rome and Egypt and all of that coming back up as a room, brother. Thank you for the support, bro. Always, I appreciate it, man. We have the link pinned to the top of the chat too. Divine Hazel, always a pleasure seeing you. Thank you for being here. This is this is yeah, this is a thing I've heard, but I've also see this is the thing you know, because this, you know, what you're saying here seems pretty accurate. But what I think about too is why is the pyramid on the back of the dollar? You know,
Exactly.
right? It's like it has to go back further. It's like this it's easy to believe, you know, because we've all been taught this since we were kids, that how the country is said to have formed, as if, you know, it was like people that came over struggling, working hard, and we did have that. But you're not going to build something with this complexity with a vision. This year the country will be 250 years, right? So I
Hmm.
remember as a child the bicentennial. I know you did too, Mr. X, right?
Right.
We were both kids, very young. Um, but that was the 200th anniversary. And now we're at the 250th anniversary, which I would think would be a big thing. But I mean, we're in some type of I mean, some crazy stuff is going on with all the Trump stuff. It's just, I mean, this is like a soap opera circus. I don't even know what to call it. And I shouldn't laugh at it. I'm not laughing at it.
Hmm.
I'm laughing at the whole situation, saying it's like insane. It's the insane asylum. And
Well, they think their vote matters so much that it's making all these changes, and they don't see the big picture because they don't understand the big picture. Have you seen the price of metals, the way they're going up like crazy?
oh, they are skyrocketing.
And you
It
know
just,
why? Because they're predicting a devaluation of the dollar. The dollar's going to get weaker.
oh my
Um,
goodness.
and it has nothing to do with, oh, we voted for Trump, that's why it happened. No, no. This was the plan all along, probably, to devaluize the dollar and just have a much higher inflation rate, because
That,
of the debt that we're in.
that makes more sense.
Hmm.
Yeah, and you're right. They'll. The funny thing is, I wouldn't put it past them saying, "Well, if they let him in office again, he'll fix it." I mean, these people are delusional
No.
with the Trump thing. It's like it's like a religious thing almost. I mean, well, some guy did a video, and he pointed out. He goes, "Look," he goes, "These people are saying that Trump isn't president because they voted for him." Even though they voted for it, there's camps saying that he's president because God intended it to be so. And I'm like, holy smokes. Now it could be planned out and stuff, but I'm looking at it like the level of derangement. And then the killer was this is the crazy thing, because okay, yeah, somebody could say God, and it might be valid, like some other higher, something more influential than us, or maybe humans behind the scene fixing it and putting people
Hmm.
into position. It definitely could be, without a doubt. All of this stuff needs to be taken into consideration. But when you look at just the interviews, they had a guy who's very aware. I mean, he puts out stuff on the Republicans, that side of the spectrum, to a point where I'm like, wow, he's crushing, like he's bringing the reality. But the guy was like, he voted for Kamala, and somebody else was like, wait a minute, so you voted for Kamala, and he tried to attack his orientation. He was like, oh, are you straight? And he's like, yeah, I'm, he's a straight male, and he goes, why? He goes, well, the ordinary guy that would vote for Kamala, he tried to stereotype it, which could be true, because I don't really follow it, but the fact that the guy, like, when I look at it, I mean, maybe I'm just in a world of my own, but I'm looking at it as, if people are voting between Kamala and Trump, it was basically almost the equivalent of asking someone, do you want to get shot or stabbed?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm saying, how could the fact that somebody could point out all of the stuff that has been happening with the Trump administration, but yet not point nothing out that, I mean, Kamala and Biden was just, I don't even know what to call that. That was like I mean, yeah, it's like, what was that we went through? 200 and something $billion of just straight up extortion, basically, in my opinion. Right? He gave over 200 billion, I think, to Ukraine. Let me see, how much did
Right. Nothing
Biden?
changed. I mean, it's the slave wage system that we're under with the taxes. It doesn't come back to the people. That's for sure, no matter who you vote for.
It's crazy, and this is the crazy thing. And you're right. When I typed in, oh my goodness, when I typed in how much did Biden give, the first thing that popped up was Israel. How much did Biden give to Israel? Then it says, how much did Biden give to other countries? How much did Biden give to HBCUS? I don't know what that is. How
I
much
think
did
that's
Biden?
historically back colleges, isn't it?
Okay, historically, but yeah, okay, you're right. So how much did he give to them? How much did he give to North Carolina farmers? Then three, four, five. The sixth one is, how much did he give to Ukraine? And I think he gave Ukraine the most. Oh, and they're still trying to downplay it. These bastards. They try to come. He provided over 60 billion in direct, and then total aid. Congress approved roughly 175 billion in aid, with over 182 billion
Mm.
total allocated in Ukraine and the surrounding region. This is like, I mean, this is crazy.
That's our slave wage in practice, because we didn't vote for that. How many people went out to vote said, I want more aid for Ukraine? I
Yeah,
seriously doubt almost anybody did. And
Exactly.
yeah, the money's supposed to be for the American people,
Yes.
not
Yep.
for, yeah, it's ridiculous. That's why it's like, come on, guys, wake up, smell the coffee already. They're
Yeah.
both on the same side, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It's nobody that I can even think of when voting would say, "Hey, I'm voting for foreign aid." For it to.
Yeah,
It's like, whoa, that's a good point. Oh my
but
goodness.
that's what you get. That's what you get, no matter who you support. Trump hasn't changed a bit,
Yep.
the game plan. Yeah. And
Exactly.
that money's just getting funneled back into the pockets of the elite,
Oh yeah.
which is
Oh
the one who's really running the show, not
yeah.
the guy we vote for. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. They're all in on it. They're all in on it. It just Cope approach. Good to see you, man. He says Biden and Kamala may have been the worst Dem ticket I've ever seen. Cope approach. I don't think you're Gen X, right? You're like right on the border of Gen X and millennial, Cope approach, because he remembered when he was in the chat yesterday, Cope approach, and he brought up something. We were talking about the ads that they used to have, the negative ads where political campaigns would, instead of produce an ad of positive of what they're doing, they'll produce something negative about their opponent. And Cope approach kind of reminded me with Walter Mondale, the way they were crushing him on the ads. I think it was in the 80s, I think.
Yeah, early 80s.
I totally had forgot about Walter Mondale, and that is. Thank you for bringing that up the other yesterday. That guy says the media asked a supremacist who lived in the town if he would accept someone from Greece. Says he thought a second. Oh yeah. They're gonna think, because remember, it's made up. Now you got people. This is why. Yeah, and foreign aid is total big time laundering. Yeah, I've heard this. Yeah, it clearly they say it's one of the best way that to untraceable way that they do it. But wow, this is why I had did the stream and a few streams on the thing about Europe not being a continent, because we already know that words are extremely important, that we see it with evolution when they try to classify everything as one word. That that's the beginning of some problems right there, because when you say, wait a minute, no, that doesn't mean that, and they say, oh no, it means that too. It means this, but it also means that. That's the telltale sign of a liar. And this is what we see with a lot of what's going on with the language. So it's very important to understand how they are framing the questions, the statements. This is like on a level, like you look at foreign aid, like, and you're right, Christopher, the laundering with this, it should be called foreign laundering. That might, right?
It's military industrial complex like Eisenhower warned us about.
Yeah, yeah,
That's basically what we're in, is
yeah.
they're getting the contracts because
Yep.
that money, the aid is going right to certain corporations.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I remember there was it was a couple of years ago. There's a UFO. It's not just a UFO conference, but it's like a metaphysical thing. Like they'll have like psychic, spiritual, crystal, rock vendors. They usually have it in Manhattan twice a year. And well, what was I going to go at this point? I think it was something on what you just said. Yeah, it was something. Oh man, I can't believe I forgot that thought. It was about, because they have these events in Manhattan that yeah, it was something with this guy Becker, and he would fund them, and it's like they would set up these booths and stuff like that, and it kind of, like, when I looked into some of the stuff that they would talk about stuff that you had some. And this is the crazy thing. You have the nutcase lunatic, I'm not calling Miss Cleo a lunatic, but everybody knew that it turned out to be some type of scam, right? The Miss Cleo thing from the 90s, I guess.
Still goes on today too.
Yeah, definitely. So we have that, and then you'll have what I noticed about that type of stuff, what's messed up is it hinders real research. So like Dr. Dean Radin, who actually studies certain type of premonitions and like the brain or the mind's ability to do that. Also, Dr. Larry Dossey, I have a book called The Science of Premonitions by him. And it allows us to look into things to see, like how you and I have had many conversations about, where it goes into a conscious realm, into a realm that it's easy to forget about that, and not forget about it like in a bad way. It's just saying like total absence of mind, because we're so wrapped up in the material physical world. It's easy to not focus totally, or not join it together and say, yeah, I'm not just in a physical world. I'm in a physical and a spiritual world at the same time, right?
Exactly, like negative energy. If you go into a place and you feel something's wrong, but you can't understand what it is, if you're a spiritual person, you'll say, "Oh, that's negative energy. There's something that's not right here. That's not something that agrees with me morally. I'm in the wrong place. I better exit this situation or be very cautious." Once you understand the spiritual, that you're a spiritual being, not just a physical being, you'll be able to see the world differently, completely.
Exactly. Yeah. No, exactly. I sometimes I wonder if somebody is afraid to see it. Like these people, they don't want to see it differently because they're so stuck in wanting it the way it is. It's I
But
forgot what.
that's a mistake because they can get themselves involved in bad situations.
Yes, exactly. And we see it happen. We see it play out, and you're absolutely right. And Christopher, you're so right, bro. We're all in spacesuits. Yep. This
Hmm.
is this is our suit. This is our physical spacesuit.
Our temporary spacesuit that we wear. That's what
It,
it is.
it really and people they don't like to talk. I would say some don't like to talk out of it, maybe out of fear. Some
Hmm.
don't want to talk out of it because they just don't care. We definitely have that. We have just it just surprises me. It reminds me of one of those quotes. It wasn't "I think, therefore I am." I think it was Socrates with "the unexamined life isn't really worth living." I mean,
Sure.
I would say it's still worth living, but I mean, to examine life, to ask questions, to I was speaking with my friend today, the one that had mentioned when he was listening to us speak. I don't think he's come on the show. The other guy we went to high school with, Noise 99, he's came on the show before. Hopefully Noise will come on again one day. I gotta contact him soon. He's about an hour from me here in New York, but they this spiritual reality, this
Hmm.
spiritual physical at the same time. I get the feeling, and I don't know if it's just me or maybe other people can kind of feel this way. I get the feeling like maybe that's the distraction, that because we're always seeing the distraction, and we're living in a physical and a spiritual world, but it's mostly, I'd say almost maybe 90% or more, we only think of it as the physical.
Yeah, and what happens when we go to sleep? Everybody's got to sleep. Nobody can stay awake 24/7. What happens when we go into that dream state? Are we still in the physical, or are we entering that other dimension in that dream state?
Yes.
And we've ever, some of us, I'm sure, have had dreams that seem like they lasted forever, but they may have only lasted here on the physical a minute or less than a minute. But
Yes.
it's like it's inescapable. You can ignore it all you want to, but you're still going to experience it one way
Hmm.
or the other. You're not going to escape that reality.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely, you're right. Somebody had said something in the chat. I think it was Fez. It could have been somebody else about the Mothman prophecies, that there
Yeah,
was a part in the movie that see,
you can
there's a
see your
couple.
past, present, and future all at the same time.
Yeah, because there's a few Mothman prophecies. Do you remember which exactly? Is that the one with Richard Gere or another one?
I don't remember the movie. It's so long ago I saw it.
Oh, okay, okay. Because I looked for it and I looked at some of it. I found it, the one with Richard Gere, but then I also realized there's like four others. The first one I think was '02 was Gere, Richard Gere, and I forgot the woman's name. I think she played in. not Jurassic Park, but she looks like that chick. I forgot her name. A blonde girl. She's like a plain Jane, but nice girl. Good actress, without a doubt. Divine Hazel says if they see themselves in a spiritual way, they would be forced to do the inner work, and they don't want to do that. They would rather bury their head in the sand. Wow.
Interesting.
Divine Hazel, you are so aware. You are definitely one of the knowers.
Yes.
And we still got the link pinned if you want to hop on. She's been on Gnosis' stream. She's pretty cool. Divine Hazel.
Great comment.
Yeah, real cool. Her Gaia the Sage is a cool person that came. Yeah. Who was the other one? Jay's really cool. I think and I forgot I think there was one or two more people. I was there the other day. Like, there's a few people I'm cool with, the host and everything, but then there's like one or two. The one guy that comes on with the evolution stuff, he always starts cursing. Like,
why do they have to curse if they believe what they believe is so true?
Yeah. It's kind of funny because he got triggered, and I didn't know when I went back on. And this is the funny thing. He was waiting. And he's, I take it with, a light heart. Yerf Dog. He has another account. He used to be in our chat, but he has another account called Ephilism. That's his page, Ephilism. So I don't know if Ephilism, but what it means. But he was came on, and he's like just on me about, you said evolution is a lie, so you got to prove that. And then he goes, I looked through your video and made a response, and I posted it, and I remember the tag, because you see the notification backstage sometimes, and I'm like, oh, somebody tagged me in a video, but most of the time, I'll go maybe check it, but I won't watch the whole thing. And so I saw it, and he was like, yeah, I made a whole video showing when you said this here and this here. And I said, I was thinking to myself, so for you, when we spoke, it was that deep. For me, it was Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I have to remember, and it's not saying nothing less of a person. It's just saying, well, for that to be so important, it just, for somebody, that's his state of mind. It's like I'm just, I guess, in a different world, because of course, in some sense, because I'm looking at stuff realistically, saying, look, the science is leading and showing us, I'm not saying I'm a total robotic science person. I'm saying that when you use the scientific method, it leads us toward, whether you like it or not, that something was genetically engineered, that it was constructed, it was built, that life was, it might be a raw way to put it, built, but that's what we're seeing. We're seeing, like, wait a minute, what, are you crazy? You can't even find a spoon by chance. No, nowhere on the earth, I think anybody has found a spoon formed out of not just metal, but even wood or stone. It's like we're a non-moving part tool, a spoon. Even if they did, let's just say if they did find something like that, what would they say? A human had to make it, so that puts, oh yeah, they understood what the spoon was, and it really, Divine puts it in a good way here, because it forces you, because every day, and especially when we have these conversations, it makes us understand, we stay in a duality, or in the realm of the physical, knowing that we are, like that song, kind of like from the Police, we are spirits in the material world. I used to like that. Yeah. It was a pretty cool song, because the meaning of it, I said, wow, that's a deep, we are spirits in the material world. And it, of course, could be something, of course, deeper than that. Cobra Pro says, yeah, The Enemy of the State, man, that movie was basically a documentary. Yeah, and
that movie I remembered very well, with the Will Smith. Yeah, that was a good movie.
I watched that like more than once. It was actually, I liked the realism of it. And when I looked at it, I was glad that they were putting stuff that some people I could see say, oh, that doesn't exist. It's like, what are you talking about? They could easily put a camera, especially today.
Oh yeah,
Um,
hey, it's off the chain, especially with AI now doing all the research.
oh
Yeah,
man.
AI doesn't take a break, doesn't need to rest, doesn't need a vacation. They'll work 24/7,
Hmm.
processing information much faster than humans can.
Yeah, yeah. No, exactly. Kasparov, good to see you. Yeah, the Tate brothers, man, straight plant. Yeah, definitely bigot. I didn't know they went crazy on that guy. Wow, it's crazy, man. It's like they're used. They use the hate. I'm glad people. Hopefully, people are seeing that they use the hatred and all of that as a as a manipulative tool, which we're seeing that it's shockingly that people are actually unaware to a point to where it works on them, to where when I look at some of what I think it's funny because when I look at what the protesters, or not the protesters, but the 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 political zombies on both sides, when people interview them, when I look at their responses to some questions, man, it's entertainment. It is like really entertainment. Like these and when I think of it now, when I say entertainment, it actually now I don't. I think now that I've explored that thought and that feeling, it's not what I want to express it as, because now I feel kind of compassion, because for somebody to be stuck in that state of unawareness, it's nothing actually to be made fun of. It can give a chuckle or a laugh, but not something to intentionally clown somebody on, because it's really a deficiency, but not a deficiency that is where somebody could claim like, oh, that's messed up that you're even talking about it, because, like if it was a physical deficiency, it's like, no, they can improve this. They can, all they got to do is start thinking. But then I got to remember that sometimes some people, and this is at some times in their life, are just not capable of that level of thought. And I expressed it today when I was talking with E, and I go, yeah. I said, if you would have tried to tell us, and because E is Generation X, he's born same. We're all born within a few years of each other.
Hmm.
So I told him, yeah. I said, Mr. X is Generation X too, and you know, yeah. When I look at when I look at some of the stuff, the
You know
way.
what it looks like to me, to be
Mhm,
honest with you? It's like they're so out in the open, this whole ICE thing. It's like they're almost putting on a show when they enter these different states and these different cities. It's like they want to be seen.
mhm,
And it seems to be planned out because, like, say if we were rulers of a country, but we wanted to know who the serious enemies were. We wanted to weed them out, like people who would actually take action. This seems to be a great way to do it. Get those people who are just so off the wall nuts that they might pose a threat. And it's just they come out of the woodwork, and it's almost like it's planned out to get the people that would just take things too far.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, they definitely. I heard these guys are like 6 weeks of training. Um, Even like when I look at all of that stuff in the country, I think citizens, the only possible way, because I've tried to make alliances with people to say, look, if we all work together, and then I realized I just got to do it myself, because that's how everything is. And then people, build it and they will come,
Yeah,
basically,
I
as
agree.
we already know. We got homeboy here to mind. What's up, brother? Good to see you, man. Always a pleasure. Um, yeah, like, so the network, right? So if it, I what I would do is, and I might do this if I can get everything organized. This is why it's taken me a little longer, because I did want the book out. But I originally wanted it out in December, but then it pushed to January. Then it's like, okay, I got to make sure the charts that I'm putting in it for the adaptation, I'm still looking for, because Amazon, I haven't seen where you can, because it's a poster. Like, it's kind of like, how they have the evolution poster of what they call the March of Progress, which is the racist um, diagram with the ape, and then the intermediary life form that they made up, like an ape man, and then
That's just a
going.
drawing. That's not nothing scientific about it. There are no bones. There's nothing in a lab. That's purely a drawing. That's it.
Yes,
And they're claiming it's science. Somebody drew a
exactly,
picture of this, and that's it. It's a cartoon. Like if
exactly.
I drew Casper the Friendly Ghost, look, here's proof that Casper the Friendly Ghost. Because it's the
Yeah,
same thing. It's It's a draw.
No, you're exactly right. And I decided to look for, places that would, because I made charts like to show life and, pictures to say, okay, these
Mhm.
are, these are not transitions. Like when you see, like when I said, okay, if you put as an example, I would use it as you can put a small monkey, a baboon, an ape, a chimpanzee, and a gorilla, and you can even throw the bonobo in there if somebody knows what it is. And you can easily look at that and see. Not saying that anybody is more gullible or not. I'm just saying that we were all gullible at one time, and we still are in some subjects right now.
Oh, you're
But
kids too.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And when I look at it, it's easy to see somebody say, somebody we could easily buy the story of, oh, so the monkey turns into the baboon, and then you're telling me the baboon turns into the ape, and then the ape branches into a chimp, and then also one goes into the bonobo, which becomes the gorilla. Now we know that's not true because I just made it up, right?
Right.
And if this is why I was looking into the charts, because I want to put my art that's going to be in the book in charts to not directly combat, but to really combat in more of an educate, not combat, because they might say, oh, you're trying to combat the fake, what they call that fake chart, they call it the March of Progress, right?
Is that what they call it? That's
Yeah, it's
ridiculous.
it's just, you talk about the racism is on a level, well, just to call it that, they call it the March of Progress. When I had
There's
looked
always a
it up,
white man at the end of
it
the book,
always,
isn't it?
always, and it's so, it's really messed. It's really demoralizing to some people. I mean, I don't feel demoralized from it, but I could see how other people, some would feel that way. But it's also odd to me the people that defend it, because I've seen black and white people definitely defend the evolution chart, and
Yeah.
I'm like, you got to be. It boggles the mind. Um, the mind. If you want to jump in anytime, brother.
I'm white and I think it's a bunch of crap. You
Yeah,
know?
it's
I
really.
think it's a bunch
Yeah,
of
yeah.
nonsense.
It's just when you look at it, it's just yeah, responsive curve. You're right. That's Mark Twain, right, or somebody. Yeah, easier to fool people than to convince them. And that's where I was saying with the whole dating thing. It's like they don't. There's such a small amount of people that really want to know the truth, and we already see how people are resistant to it. And so that's why you have the Andrew Tates and these guys that had made money off of these guys. If people weren't that gullible for it, it couldn't happen. And
Mhm.
I can't believe that it's
I think
almost repeating
I think
itself.
that I
Yeah,
think
what's
that
up,
would be
bro?
a good topic. Hey, what's up? I think talking about man and woman issues might be a good topic to discuss. I know we were kind of butting heads the last time. We were discussing something. We had like different
Mhm.
views about
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
height and stuff. But I got interested in what's his name? I might. How do I say it? Something caught my ear, and it was what Max was saying in regards to how they do things to see how we are going to react to things. And that kind of reminds me of like the game plan that they have when they load the bases, basically, where you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Are we allowed to say damned?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Your mic. Did your phone charge? Because it's a little
Yeah.
like
My phone is charging at the moment. It's
Yeah,
on the
because it's
charger.
got that sound again, like that. Yeah, that thing. Like it only like when you. Yeah, but I can hear it. I guess if you maybe hold it away when you talk, it might be less impactful. Because it's really
Okay, how's that sound?
a little better, a little better. Because it's basically like when you're up close to the mic, and I forgot what they call the word. It's like a popping or puff or pifting or something. That's why they put that I think that that cloth, like that circular cloth in front of the mics that they have, because I know it from trying to record, because I do audio recordings for the book, and then I'll listen to it, and you catch more in editing your own stuff when you do, you do an audio edit, you do a visual edit, of course, for grammar, and then you also do a developmental edit. Sometimes you say, well, this paragraph should be in front of this one to lead it in better. So Yeah. I mean, all of that stuff is really what's taken me for the book. I mean, I'm so excited to show you the charts and stuff because I was telling Scribe I was gonna call, one of them, which we can see clearly is adaptation, but I was thinking of calling it the theory of adaptation, and then just showing some diagrams, and then of course showing the other diagrams to teach in a way with the baboon and the ape and the chimp how showing you, okay, this is an example of how you can get caught up in that. It's like, I would even propose, now that I think about it, I'll put it in one of the paragraphs for people to actually, if they want to test people and tell people, say, look, show them this, or just, you don't got to show them the chart. You could just tell them and say, hey, yeah, did you know that, somebody that actually believes in evolution, I think would be the best person to troll for this type of stuff. Because, as a matter of fact, I might actually bring it up and see how far it would say, hey, you heard that they, that there is evidence of the baboon, branching off into, and they would probably eat that up so quick, man. And
But
just
even then, can I just mention something?
Mhm.
Even with that evolution of man, the stages of man, it still implies order and design, because what is it trying to evolve to? It design, yeah, then you need somebody to create that blueprint of what it's trying to evolve to.
Yeah. And you
Because
know
it
what?
could easily be say it's de-evolution, that we were better off as chimps and we became worse as humans. You can
Yeah,
easily
yeah,
make that
yeah,
argument.
yeah. They can, that argument, and also well, not the argument, but the presenting that what is it called? Not theory. It's like a position, like that scenario. So presenting that scenario, they honestly, that's when I start, like, how we talk about scientific stuff. That's when that guy started cursing, and it was funny because
Hmm.
in a way, I was just like, man, I mean, in a way, I don't know, he might actually
Maybe he
not.
doesn't truly believe in what he knows he can't defend.
Yeah, and I think deep down, of course, it's always better, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. If he because it's just his behavior. Even if he continues to
But
believe
he's
in
not
the
the only
fairy tale.
one. Everybody does that
Yeah,
almost.
yeah.
All the
And
evolution.
I'll probably speak with him again. Who knows? I mean, DNW streams almost every day.
What's the
He
stream? DM.
Gnosis, finding Gnosis. Yeah,
Oh,
Divine Hazel. She's a moderator over there. She goes on a stream and stuff. That she talks with them. And I give her a lot of credit because it's in the midst of. I've never heard her talk to them about evolution or anything. I think she just keeps her stuff and their stuff. It's just like, hey, she knows what she knows, and there's really, I can understand. There's really no point in even trying to talk to most people that are in the religion of evolution, because it's easier to talk to a religious person, because the religious person is saying, yeah, I'm religious, and it does not require proof because it's my belief, and that's 100% true. It's like,
yes.
you want to believe it, hey, great. But the hard thing, the challenge, which might even be a challenge in vain, is to try to think you can. The evolution person doesn't even know their religion. It's like somebody having something. You tell a religious person, hey, look in the mirror and fix your hair or something, or there's a piece of lint on your shirt, and they look down and they take the lint off, right? And then the evolution person is the one that you say, hey, there's a piece of lint on your shirt. That person doesn't even look down and looks at you and says, there's no lint on my shirt. And say, wait, but you didn't even look at your shirt. I'm telling you right now, there's a piece of lint. Because they're like, what are you talking about? Evolution is science. It's not religion. And it's like, bro, it's a religion. A religion is based on a belief, which cultivates a behavior, and that behavior creates a belonging. And that's where you get the groups of the circus of these universities that think that life happened just out of the blue, and they got a timeline. That's the amazing thing. You see, that this is, the more people talk about it, the more they see how ridiculous it actually is. to be like, wait a second. So you're telling me, like, you look at, oh yeah, the other one I was going to present is the human baby. The human baby, we know, must have care from birth, from an infant to a child. Once it gets to where it starts walking, some children between 8, 9, 10 months, now we start to see, like, okay, the child is capable of maybe hiding from a predator, but really they're just prey. When you look at human child is not like where it can evade certain predators in the wild. And so we look at that and we say, well, okay, tell me about the first human baby, or like, and this is the trap that I'm surprised a lot of people don't use it to catch them in their own lies or their own cognitive dissonance, because sometimes I do see that I just kind of get a sense, but also it can be logically proven by what they say, that they really do believe in the lie. So they actually have reached a level where they believe their own bull crap. So it's like it's like that saying that used to be where somebody would say, so you're not just trying to fool me on something, you actually believe this crap. Like somebody that might like a product and the product is not good. Or, it's like, why would I, this is not, you say, look, a plastic cup. I don't like a plastic cup. I like a glass. A glass, you're not going to get plastic residue in it, whatever. But some people just don't see that. Some people just don't see that. And that's okay. That's okay. But the evolution thing, see, it also, like what Divine had said earlier with the forcing us to do the work, it also eliminates that to where we just look at it as, hey, this is it. It kind of has a way with just erasing morality. Like, I'm not saying that there aren't people who believe in evolution that are moral people. I'm saying that there are large majorities that are not. And that's also what we see with organized religion as well, open religion. So we do see that. We see a large amount that butt pirates all over religion and the universities as well. Don't think that doesn't happen in the dean's office. Most likely could or has. This, Mr. X.
Well, I was just going to say, it's really sad when somebody believes it like that, because at the university level, I understand that's how they keep their job. If they came out and said, no, evolution's wrong, creationism is the right path based on the evidence, they're going to get fired. And I understand the Dyson, what's the guy's name? The scientist.
Tyson?
Tyson. Yeah, I understand his point of view because he's also getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are not getting paid. It's just like they're really brainwashed by the nonsense. They don't even think for themselves.
Yeah.
Like it's like the slaves. They needed somebody to tell them what to do, throughout history. They just cannot think for themselves. And anybody who goes against what their ruler tells them, they're going to act violent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Full-blown cheerleaders, man. They just cheering when they think their team is winning and booing when, you try to wake them up. I mean, it's circus character. It's really, I would like to talk scientifically with some of them, but they always get into that. One, they either get like very confrontative, like loud and, using profanity.
Yep.
And also they are actually not scientifically equipped mentally, I've noticed. And I've noticed this with, I'm like, wait a minute. Because I write, I do a lot of stuff.
You also do your research, right?
Yeah, the
So you're looking at science.
Yeah, exactly.
And notice that when you bring in science that's been proven in a lab and it's been repeated, they reject it because it doesn't fit their narrative. So who's the one who's really unscientific?
Yeah, exactly. It just, the scientific method is not used, and because anybody could say, like, I heard there's one, he's like a little clone of the Dave, the fake professor guy. He has a channel, maybe 20,000, because Dave's got like a couple of million, like I think like 4 million. He used to have 2, and somehow he jumped to 4. But I think he might be kind of inflated because I think he's inflated, but also I think that people are seeing through. I think more and more people are seeing through the lie of evolution. And see, the hard thing is that they don't really have a place that's scientific to go.
Right.
It's most likely, somebody that's either alien nutcase, believing in any basic alien conspiracy and all of that, and then you have those combined with religion. You have those just alien nutcase. You have, and I'm not saying that aliens don't exist or something like that or couldn't exist. I'm just saying when you look at some of the stuff, it's just like, bro, we got to stay in science. Like, I already mentioned to a few people, like, look, I can't be talking about stuff with, the flat or anything like that. It's like, it's not going to vibe with the genetics because I'm going to be focusing on science, saying, look, this is what it's showing me. This is the chart that they show us that they want us to believe. So more than just seeing evidence, we're also learning how to detect things and improve and enhance and strengthen our psychology, our understanding of it, our ability to use it. Because understanding psychology is one thing, but knowing how to use it, I think that's where these guys, when I speak with them and all of that, I think they feel a little outed without me trying to really out them. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I just shined in a point where they I don't even think it's that, because like you've experienced too, you see the way they react. So it's like a template that they react in. Matter of fact, there's certain things that you can say, I've noticed, that will trigger them in specific ways. And we both see that there's certain things you can say that they will start to go into the mode where they start explaining evolution to you. And it's like, wait a minute, I didn't even ask that question.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like when I asked the guy, how does a mindless process create beings or organisms with minds? He starts giving me the textbook definition of evolution.
Yeah.
And it's like, I didn't ask that. I said, what part of the process did they develop minds? It's no, he just reads off the book and says, well, this is what they teach you in high school. I said, but I didn't ask that question. I didn't ask the textbook definition of evolution. I asked, how does this happen? And you obviously don't have an answer. So leave it at that.
Yeah, I think it's also a thing of buying their own BS, because it's like, it's easy to fall into that, because it's like it is egotistical, but in some senses I could see, okay, maybe they'll call it brand loyalty, or in some senses it might just be what's available and you use it, like a farmer buying certain tools, plows for his farm. But then there's also stuff where people would say, yeah, I buy these type of towels or this type of linen because it's a higher quality, and that's what I want. And it, I've only gotten positive experiences from it. I sleep good. So now you have experience in the product, and you say, okay, this is why I like that. I wear white cotton t-shirts because they feel better than if I wear a polyester garment or something mixed with polyester, or something like spandex or rayon, which has the unnatural synthetic stuff that can cause rashes. And people, this is the crazy thing, how people, it's easy to just not even realize stuff like this, to say, wait a second. And there's so much videos and books on it, on how clothing, you have to be careful, in my opinion, that what they're made out of, that's pressing against your skin, and your skin is the largest organ. I mean, you're pulling in and you're exuding stuff in and out of your skin constantly. So it is a highly it's an organ that can absorb things a lot. And we see people wearing these clothings that don't allow you to sweat, and they wear them while they're doing exercises that make you sweat. So even if they were wearing them laying around, it would be bad. But they're creating this. And it also, the bacteria can create like fungal infections, eczema, stuff with the skin, which the unknowing person will go to a dermatologist and possibly get a cream. So now all they got to do is switch what they were wearing from spandex or rayon to cotton, because the pure, and also you would want organic cotton, because, you know, and this is just thinking, this is just me thinking to say, because I've always been into researching health and technology, because when I was listening to Gary Null in the late 90s, he had a radio show, and he posed some pretty good points. And it wasn't like, oh, become a vegetarian. He never said that, but he would talk about stuff like, look, you get a brand new car. I think he had a guest on, this lady. She was saying that there's like 140 different chemicals, she was saying, that are off gassing from a brand new car. She goes, that's what the brand new car smell is, basically. What people would say that, oh, that brand new car smell, that's the mixture of the chemicals coming off the dashboard, the steering wheel, the carpeting, the seats, the roof, the upholstery. All of that stuff is outgassing. The plastics, you know, mad plastics up in there, vinyls, all type of stuff. This is like, you think about that, like, okay, so I'm, you know, all right, I see that. Now the clothing is extremely important. One lady wrote a book talking about the frequency. She said that when you wear cotton, I think the frequency is 100. And I'm not sure if the body's frequency on this scale that they were talking about is 100 as well. But they said polyester, I think, ranked as low as 15. And I think linen was like a couple of hundred. So they were saying linen and wool and cotton were good things to wear, because one, they're natural, two, the body can breathe. The cotton and the wool and linen and stuff, I mean, I would want them to be grown without pesticides, and organic cotton material and clothing are available. One guy actually sells t-shirts made out of hemp, the cannabis plant, weed, marijuana.
And you know what I started doing too? I was just going to mention deodorants. I've gone to aluminum-free deodorants now.
Oh yeah, you can't. Yeah, you have to. Yeah, that's
it would definitely soak way faster than
oh yeah,
or more than any other area of your skin.
Yeah.
You know.
Matter of fact, you can even go to a like, yeah, if you get an all natural one, you know, definitely without the harmful ingredients. Because you think about that, you say, well, wait a second. See, and that's what also got me to think even more, because I was always just curious to say, wait a second. So it's not even that these products are not, in my opinion, good or you know, basically toxic, because if you read the, you know, have toxic ingredients, basically. So you look at that, it's saying, okay, that's one thing. But the other thing is the psychology of saying, wait a second, they know they're selling, they must know this. So another part of that is, am I going to let my ignorance act like they don't know? I mean, somebody might say, oh, well, you know, give them the benefit. It's like, so the people that have been telling me all the way back, second grade, Columbus, all of this stuff, magically are telling me the truth now? Or not magically telling me the truth. Oh, they made another mistake. Just the way they made a mistake with Columbus and had to correct that. And now this right here is a mistake now. And what, they're going to correct it when? So what, I can't see something that's a mistake or something that I don't want. You know, it really, it's a psychological nut house. I mean, some of the stuff that the zombie machine, or whatever somebody wants to call it, like I could see why that group named themselves Rage Against the Machine, right? And I think they left to Australia or New Zealand. They were saying that they couldn't wake up enough people. And that's what I was just laughing, because I said, look, they don't even know, you can't wake people up. You got to wake up yourself. If something, none of us can remember fully the event that woke us up. It might have been a slow awakening, different things, topics we talked about, people. But when I think back, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, wow, how did that happen? It was so much by chance. Just even listening to the radio show, because I think it's Free Speech Radio. They broadcast, I think, out of the Empire State Building, in Manhattan. And I started listening to them in the late 90s when they shot that guy like 40 something times in the Bronx. And I think it was like the late 90s, but I might have been listening a little like 97, 96 around there. And you know, one thing led to another. And they were like, I would let the radio play because this was on FM radio, and it would have other guests come on. So every hour would have a different show. And it was like, you know, Free Speech Radio, Pacifica, 99.5 FM. And his was the Natural Living Show. Now, I met him in real life twice. The first time he was cool. The second time he was kind of like, you know, yeah, I could see why people would say, oh yeah, Gary Null, you know, yeah, he's his research is great, but he's kind of like egotistical. And I did notice that he's on like the progressive push. And I'm looking at it like, bro, if you still believe in politics, it's like you can't, you know, you're really knowledgeable about the food and the chemicals, but as far as in the field of not seeing the depth of the crookery, you know, the depth. When I looked, and that's why I say, like, who really built America? To me, it looks like something. Somebody might say, well, oh, when you say something, what do you mean? Aliens? No, well, it could be, but it also could be humans, a group of organized humans, like a mafia or something, that is because the government is, I forgot how one guy termed it excellently. He said the government is just a mafia pretending to be a human rights organization. And I was like, wow, that's a deep, deep saying. You know, it just, yeah, it's so, when you start to smell the control, it gets to a point to where you start to, it's a real Matrix type awakening. That moment, like when Neo was about to pop, like, holy smoke, but not as bad as we're, you know, wanting to vomit, but more like wow, like do I go back to sleep and be an idiot, or do I actually start to think a little more? Because that's the feeling that I used to get, where it was almost hard to think. Kind of like when Neo, when he's like, why does my eyes hurt? And he's like, you never used them. You've been in a pod, basically. So like when I used to think about things, and it was like, it would feel kind of anxious, kind of like antsy, kind of like hard to sit and concentrate in one space and read a couple of pages in a book, or even one page. And of course, some of that could have been attributed to the food, because the food will definitely have you bugging out, you know, because this is like a type of warfare on so many different fronts. And that's why I had, you know, created the zombie spectrum, you know, to explain it, you know, just to show people, like, look, if we can organize it and classify everything, we can do it. We can learn about it in a scientific way that's repeatable. And now we start to make more progress than if we, you know, if we just guess, basically, because, you know, and this is how progress is made, basically. It just, Sons of God, what's up, man? He says the band chilled out. Wow, I didn't know. It's more like Raging with the Machine. Seriously? Holy smokes, man. And they used to act hardcore, Rage Against the Machine. He'd be swinging his dreads around on the stage, screaming. You know, I know, honestly, the only song that I really remember was the Renegades of Funk. And that wasn't even their song. That was a remake from the Soul Sonic Force, I think, which all of them are whack. You know, when you look back at all of that, you already know. You don't even want to get me started on the music. The music is just, that's so programming, it's ridiculous. And it does tie in a way. When we look at the music calms the savage beast, right? We see that they use music to put us in certain moods, and not just calm the savage beast, but control the savage beast, or control the beast. And we all kind of have that part. We see it with the physical. We see the similarities of not exact blood type, but we see the similarities of blood and bone and flesh with other mammals. And then also see it in reptiles and avians and fish, even in other life forms. You start to say, okay, so there's the physical structure. We have this physical structure that is moving around, but what is the consciousness? Now, is the consciousness my brain receiving it from somewhere else? Or just to entertain what the evolutionists are saying, is it generating consciousness which is not proven at all, by some type of chemical reaction? Because this is what they say, like, hey, it just let me wave the wand, the magical wand, and bling, evolution did it. And but we know that that's not scientifically provable.
That's
and
a belief.
Exactly.
There's nothing scientific about that. They can't prove that in a lab.
Exactly. And that's what people need to. This is why I repeat these points, because you point out as well that we start to see it. Okay, boom, that's a belief. And that's the first thing that really needs to be established, I noticed, when speaking with these people that are, evolutionists, because they will, I think, doing it in a cognitive dissonance way, or also even purposefully, they will not be able to define that. Because I'll ask them, I'll say, yeah, I'll be like, wait a minute. So if you're telling me, like, we could take any one of the talking points of the cell, the first cell, it's a story, right? There's no science behind that. It's a story.
And it's abiogenesis, life coming from non-life. That's never been proven scientifically. That's another belief in a miracle.
Yep.
Basically, that's a miracle, but you give it a scientific name.
Oh, yeah. Well, the old saying, they say, the evolutionists will say, give us one miracle and then we'll explain the rest.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, yeah, the one miracle, right? And I'm not saying it's just one miracle, but when I look at it, I'm saying, look, there's something, not, what did he say? Losing an illusion, you actually become more wise than gaining a truth.
Because can I jump in real fast?
Huh?
Can I jump in real fast? How's my mic?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I feel like it becomes real semantical. Like they like to hide behind their words and like their little mind games, because even when it comes to like the tests, when we talk about consciousness, right? They want to say, oh, well, it takes an observer to change the thing, and then they're just like, well, actually, an observer can be any system that is just recording information, so it doesn't even need to be a human. An observer is anything that interacts with the system. That's what they go on to say even further, and it's just like, okay, so then everything is an observer, because everything can interact with itself, with other systems and itself. And yeah, I feel like it just becomes a semantical a word game a little bit sometimes.
I agree. Yeah. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There was another point, an example I was going to give. I can't think of it at the moment. When I remember, I will tell you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh, the evolutionists love word games. There's no question about it. They love to throw, esoteric teachings or specialized areas of knowledge, or they use terminology that, of course, we don't use in everyday language, and they'll say, "Oh, so you don't know it." They're just like looking to catch you on one point. You notice that, MD?
Oh yeah. They're like, and this is why I like I feel like I overemphasize it, but you already know it. It needs to be emphasized, because they're so, like, I'll give them credit. They're so good with mixing the language up and using the language to either vaguely never explain something and act like that's a fact, or using it in another way where, if we're not smart and always on alert to detect it, the conversation doesn't move forward. It goes right back into, you see, That's why things evolved. It's ridiculous. It's almost at the point where I'm like, when I look at some of the videos, it's comedy now to see somebody talk about evolution. I don't know if you've noticed that. Like,
I agree. I agree. But they're very disingenuous. Very disingenuous. I mean, one guy on that Taco's channel, he'll just use terms that we never use in everyday life. You look up the most obscure terminology that he can find and say, and if you don't know the definition of the word, that you're automatically an idiot and you don't know what you're talking about, so you're wrong. That's their whole game plan. And it's like, I could do the same thing to them. Bring some obscure terms also and throw it at them and then give me the definition. You don't know it? Okay, now you're wrong. It's like, that's a stupid game. That's not, people like that I don't even know how to have a conversation with, because there's just no point to it at all.
yeah. It's just, and that's the thing too. There's not really much people to have the conversation with. I mean, these guys, when I haven't looked at a lot of Dave's stuff because it's hard to watch him, man. He just,
Let's put you to sleep.
yeah, just, they are, I think, the majority. So they're the silent religion, the invisible religion, like the religion that masquerades as science, basically, right?
Yeah, it is. It really is. That's the absolute truth. And the truth is actually a lot more interesting. That's what blows me away, is like you're learning about something that never happened. It's complete nonsense, and like you said, you can't even listen to it because it'll put you to sleep because you're just listening to nonsense. Imagine me telling you an hour worth of lies. You're gonna get tired of hearing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a fairy tale I just made up, and it's saying this is the scientific method, but it's a fairy tale. You're
Yeah.
gonna lose interest, but when you get to the truth, then it gets a little more interesting when we talk about the spiritual, when we talk about our soul, our being that's non-physical. That actually gets interesting. It perks up our attention. Because guess what? It's reality. It's true. We can relate to it. We've experienced it. So there's some interest there. You see what I'm saying? We were
Yeah.
never apes. So of course we're going to not be interested in hearing about how we were apes because it never happened,
Exactly. And I'm surprised people don't find it like that right there should seal it. But to add and let people know, like, hey, there's people that have falsified skeletons to try to push this thing through, to say like, oh, look, there's proof of the ape man and stuff and the transition. So that makes it even more suspicious to say somebody is clearly doing something to prevent the actual research of human origins to take place scientifically.
Yes.
Like they'll let the religious stuff go because they know that most religious people will go, they'll be scientific for a while, and then they'll immediately transport to Nutcase City and talk about like, whatever they believe in is totally right, which of course, okay, as a belief, that's okay. But scientifically, it's not proven scientifically. So of course, yeah, that you can believe it, but we're dealing strictly with the scientific origins of life and then the nature of existence, the fabric of reality as well. So we're going into many parts of just everything, saying, look, existence, basically that covers everything. Existence, so that word can stand beyond the known universe, because what is beyond the universe and forever, that's existence. Inward, outward, upward, every different thing. Mentally, now we have reality. So existence exists, and reality, that's the thing, that how we perceive how stuff is, but we can only see a certain portion of it. It's as if we're starting to see through little bits of reality, and then something tries to they try to only let us see a certain amount of reality. I've noticed that at certain points, and then and we can test this. Like somebody might say, well, how can you test it? Well, when we were younger, we didn't know certain things that we know now. and not just reading knowledge in a book. We know how to deal with psychological situations. So we know on many different levels on how to read something and assimilate the knowledge, whether it's reading a schematic to put together a dresser or something to different, we have that. Alexis, good to see you, brother. He says, did George Washington really build America? Just joined. George Washington.
And he cut down a cherry tree and never told a lie, if you believe that one.
I remember hearing that, and I couldn't believe that they would say that. It's like, why would somebody say that? It's just like, oh, so you're telling me, so in other words, you're telling me there's a person that doesn't lie.
Yeah.
They want to like deify him or something.
Exactly. You nailed it right there. Deification.
And when I looked at Mount Rushmore, you can see the deification more. And I did some manipulation of the artwork, and that's what became the thumbnail with this picture here, with like the entities, or what would be a controlling, the picture could also be looked at as what is considered to be a controlling force, an unseen, invisible controlling force, with the faces of the presidents being the representatives of it. Now, I'm not saying they're like demons or anything. It's just saying like, look, it's a force behind them. So just like today, we see the president is taking orders from somebody else behind the scenes, it seems to be, in my opinion. It's like, why wouldn't George Washington have been taking orders from somebody else, or Thomas Jefferson, or Roosevelt, or Lincoln? It would only make sense. It would make less sense to think that, oh no, these guys were, he was the commander in chief. He was the one.
Jump in real fast?
Yeah.
I find it kind of funny because they want to like attack religion, right? And then this is where it shows their cognitive dissonance, but they want to be like, yeah, the whole religious, organization is bad, it's wrong, it's done this, it's done that, which it has, right? It has done a lot of bad, and it has been a part of this whole colonization process. But when it comes to, and they will acknowledge like modern day political corruption that happens on whatever side they want to focus on. But when it comes to talking about like historical, what would I say, injustices or just cover-ups and different stuff like that, they're just like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, you think somebody's trying to manipulate the masses, like you think we like they think they live in a utopia, or we live in a utopia or something, and people aren't trying to hide and manipulate the masses like throughout history.
Yeah, I think all throughout history, the more I research, the more I find that there's always some type of civilizers, so-called civilizers, because we know if we understand, if we remember the meaning of the word civil, then we realize that, yeah, there is no civilizers wouldn't be the proper definition. I think a word, it would be subjugators maybe, or basically it's as if we're like an open air experiment somehow. I wonder. I really, when I think about it. Alexis, brother, thank you for the support, bro. He says, need stream on the American Civil War. If the UK took America over in 1776, why would they fight within due to slaves? Or is there a real reason? I think, thank you, brother, for the support. This, a stream on the American Civil War, like the one, all right, so the 18th century American Civil War, okay. And if UK took America, what would they fight within due to slaves? Well, I remember, I think there was something where in the British had made slavery illegal, I think, but I'm not sure. I got to look up what year that was. And then, but they did have colonization, and they Yeah, I don't. When I think about it, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm gonna look into with the Why would they fight? Yeah, yeah. There's definitely, I think, more than one reason. There's something else behind the scenes that is like how the president, there's somebody telling him what to do. There's definitely something behind the scenes with the Civil War. The Civil War, according to statistics, and it might not be. I mean, I don't see a reason not to believe it, but we already know the way they are. Um, the the uh the Civil War, they said, had killed more people than all of the other American wars combined. But just to let me see, did the Civil War have more casualties?
Maybe they wanted everybody under one currency. It was the money changers at it again because they're the ones who the book that I read, None Dare Call It Conspiracy. They're the ones behind all the wars. They
Hmm.
fund all the wars, so
Yeah.
that would make sense. Whoever's producing the money have one
Hmm.
money supply. Because look at now, the dollar is the world's reserve currency. I
Yeah.
don't think that's a coincidence.
Yeah, they're saying here, yeah, you're right, man. That's like a good point. It's like, and it's concerning, right? It's concerning. I mean, I hope the dollar would go up. Whew, yeah.
But
That's
that must have been behind a lot of our wars, a lot of the wars that have. Because why are we the world's police officer? Since almost our inception, after we got independence, we became the world's. Well, certainly after World War II, that was it. We ran the whole every casualty. We somehow had some involvement in it. We definitely are the arms dealers to the world. I mean, it's got to be to protect the fiat currency. It's got to be behind that.
hmm yeah. Azroom, what's up, man? If you have something, just jump in.
Yeah, MD, regarding the Civil War, the North was more industrialized than the South, right? The South, they were more dependent upon slave labor for their cotton plantations. The North wanted the northern industry owners, they wanted the plantations to come under their rule. So they pressurized Abraham Lincoln to invade the South. They were just a bunch of breakaway southern states. Abraham Lincoln had no choice but to agree to the industrialist demands. That's why they invaded the South. It was not about freeing the slaves. There was no benefit in freeing the slaves. Like the Abraham Lincoln actually wanted to take all the African Americans, put them on a boat, and send them back to Liberia. Actually,
Wow. Wow, man. Alexis, brother, thank you for the support, bro. Alexis says, my theory is UK illegalized slavery. Then the US follows suit due to UK owing them. Wow. Then the Americans were confused and wondered why we're following the UK. Then the UK controlled Union declared war. Yeah, it's actually so the UK illegalized slavery. Yeah. So we have
But is
that.
it the UK or is it somebody like the Rothschilds, a family in the UK? You know what I'm saying? Is it
Um
really the UK itself, the government, or is it somebody behind the UK government that's really running the show?
uh, the UK actually, Mr. X, the Rothschilds, their power has been exaggerated to a great extent because I went and checked what happened in the Civil War. The southern states, they wanted the Rothschilds to fund them because after the Battle of Waterloo, the Rothschilds had become very powerful. The conspiracy theorists say that the Rothschilds funded the the Confederates against the Unions, but actually what happened was that they found it to be too risky to fund the South. So Nathan Rothschild said, I don't want to have any part in this war. We'll just sit on the sides. We sympathize with you in the South, but we don't want to get involved with you and fund your war. So what happened was that the southern states, what they did was they started a cotton embargo. The sale to England was actually banned for a long time, and because England heavily depended upon the cotton of the South, the prices skyrocketed. And then what the cotton producing farmers in the South did was they started selling cotton bonds to Europeans. Then they would take all that money and fund their war against the Union, actually the Yankees. But like what happened was that England bypassed this method and they started purchasing cotton from India and China. So then what happened was that like the plan actually to increase the price of cotton and use that money to fund the war against the Yankees or the Union Army, it failed, and they lost the war actually. So the Rothschilds, they sympathized with the South, but they didn't
Yeah.
get involved in this war.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Alexis says, who is behind the UK? We just know the UK is controlling the US. The Southern Americans were confused about the US fought a war to be separated from the UK. Yeah, we do. I would, when I think about it, and I hear what Mr. X is saying with the Rothschilds, but it's like the Rothschilds it's like we're taking a mental picture of where we want to say, okay, who could be responsible for this? Now, the person or the entity or the group that's running the UK, which is possibly running, like how Alan Watts said, they're using Britain as the nucleus to rule the world. Before that, it was Rome, Greece, Egypt, and possibly Sumer, and also places over by India, China, even this continent. This continent
The
is
Vatican.
the Vatican. Well, the Vatican is yeah, that's definitely because Rome, the Vatican, I mean, again, it's like now when you look at it, it's like a secret library, really, because it sits on a lot of like knowledge, a lot of hidden underground stuff. There's something, just the fact that exists, and we know that the catacombs and stuff like that. Right. It's like the only thing preventing us from continually learning more about this is falling asleep mentally. And I see, that's how I feel. It's like I do it all the time. It's just like you do some research, like together minds are stronger. And I noticed that physically too. In the military, when we would run, it would be easier when we ran with the group. And I noticed that, wow, running alone when you had to take the physical fitness test seemed a little harder. For some people, they were just runners. But, I think about it like, wow. So the mental mind with us all talking here, we have a few different aspects of that create another mind. So like when Mr. X and I speak, it's my mind, his mind, and a third mind. As Varun and I speak, it's him, I, and a third one. Now, when the three of us speak, we have the combination, and then when Azrun and Mr. X speak, they create a third mind. So now you have the three minds and then three other minds. And the mind, when he joins in, and then it expands that way. So it expands with an extra mind that the two minds create. And
okay, I do want to add on a thing before I forget again. The wordplay. I remembered what it was. Natural. That's a good word they like to throw around and use semantical wordplay to be like, oh, that's natural. Everything's natural. I'm a naturalist, and it's just like, okay, guy, you win. Everything's natural.
Yeah, I hear you. I just looked this up, Alexis. Just to make sure, to be totally exact, that they say the Slave Trade Act of 1807, that's when they prohibited the trade. So that's when Britain made it illegal. And you're right. When I think about it, it's a confusing thing, because this is, when I look at this, it's like, okay, so 1807, the Civil War was a couple of decades later, and that's kind of odd. So it's because that's actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to do a show on this, man. Yeah, no, this is definitely an important thing, man. You definitely dropping some knowledge with this. The Slave Trade Act. So it's like the British say, okay, we're going to outlaw slavery. But then in the US, it's still legal for another, I think it's like 30 years. I think the emancipation was like the 1830s or something. But, just because they make something illegal It's illegal federally, but you still gonna have, it's like drugs. Drugs are illegal. You think people stop doing them? No.
Exactly.
So yeah, exactly.
And I was just going to mention too, like as far as the monetary system influence our way of life. I mean, we all heard of you've heard of Jekyll Island, that what happened there in 1910.
No, no. Where
Well,
was
I just looked it up because I remember hearing about that, but I had to refresh myself. The American bankers, the Warburgs, the prominent American bankers met with the government in secret. This is very important, in secret, to form the Federal Reserve, which now basically runs our whole life. They decide interest rates, they control the money supply and everything like that. The American public never got to vote on this, but they formed a private bank that basically runs not only our lives, but the whole world, because it's the fiat currency. So all I'm saying is there's things that we don't vote on, we have no say so, but they're going to control our lives. And right there, whoever controls the money supply, controls the currency, controls everything. I mean, it doesn't matter at that point who you elect, because they're the ones really running the show. They can decide what to do, and they'll call the shots.
Yeah.
So I think the Civil War probably tied into the currency also. They wanted to have one uniform currency throughout the U.S. They didn't want a different country. Basically that's like two different countries in their mind. If you're running on the Confederate system of monetary system versus the Union, they wanted it all one system to consolidate everything. I think that was the grand plan in the end.
Yeah. Yeah. We definitely, the amazing thing is that we see that part of it, and then we expand and say, wow, France and Spain and Portugal and other countries, Italy and Ethiopia and stuff like that, were just, this, we see how an orchestrated plan this was.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't think these guys were just independent, it shows that there's something behind the scene that was giving the orders to the people that looked as if, they were in power, the people running the countries, but dictating okay, this is what you're going to do.
Yes.
And
can I add something too real quick? I want to say also, I find it really weird when we start talking about the issues, right? And like the patterns that are happening. People want to focus on the person and the individual, and I'm like, yo, why? That seems like an issue right there. When you want to focus specifically on, you're like, well, who is it? Who? What's the name of the person? Like, point me to the specific individual. It's just like, yo, if we could catch this pattern, this behavior, this thing when it's happening, regardless of who it is, that's what matters. Like making sure that this doesn't happen regardless of who it is, not trying to do a witch hunt and be like, and you trying to accuse left and right, because legally speaking, you could get in a lot of trouble if you can't verify and prove beyond a shadow of a doubt what you're saying is true. And they have a lot of ways to use the legal system to do loopholes and put innocent people, in my opinion, get innocent people in trouble if you don't have the right evidence to accuse somebody who's actually guilty. So when we're talking about big powers, people in positions of power, and then you calling them out, people are doing like this trap by saying, oh, well, what's their name? Say their name.
Yeah.
Who is it?
Yeah. You're right. No, you're absolutely right. It's this is why we have to say, this is why I say now, in my opinion, because you can have your opinion, but if you're stating it as a truth publicly to everyone, that's when they come and they
and this is what goes back to Mr. X. Literally, they will do things to see how we react to it, to see who says what, and then once they know who knows actually what's going on and who's going to say something or react a certain way, then they're like, okay, we did these things, we're allowed to get away with it with this majority. We know that when we say these things, this group is going to say those things. We're aware that those people are going to act that way, and literally that's the whole name of the game. It's a whole mental mind mapping and manipulation on the masses.
I agree 100%. Yeah, they're fooling the American public. The zombies, they're seeing who's going to act out violently. Oh, we got one. It's like catching fish in a barrel, basically, or whatever. Or shooting fish in a barrel, as they call it. Yeah.
MD,
Yeah.
I checked that thing, the Namibian-German War. It happened from 1904 to 1908. They killed a lot of Namibians, and they even experimented on them, and they sexually assaulted many Namibians as well. They performed experiments on them in concentration camps, like examining their skulls. After taking the offspring between the German and the Namibian tribe, they would experiment on their skulls, the offspring skulls, all that they've done. Today, 70% of the land in Namibia is owned by Germans, actually.
Really?
Yeah. So, like, even the Germans have forgotten about this genocide. So, they were guilty of two genocides, one in Namibia and the Holocaust.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking into the Civil War slave trade thing, because that is kind of odd when you look at it. And they're saying the final abolition, slavery itself was outlawed, it says, in 1833, though a system of apprenticeship continued until 1838 for 5 more years. I like the way they use that word, apprenticeship. Again, language is so important. To see through the illusion is extremely important.
I think it was just about seizing the lands, the cotton lands of the south, and using it for enriching the northern industrialist power base further, MD. Otherwise, like slavery, like by in all of Europe and in even in the US, because of the advancement in technology, there was no need to use slave labor. It was just an excuse to attack the south. That's it.
Well, if you look at around the world, don't they have a lot of people that it might not be called slavery, but they're living in slavery like conditions, you would say?
Yeah, in India we had that until the government abolished that. We had indentured servitude. What happened was that the British created the zamindari system. So the landlords, they would like, what do you say, lend money at exorbitant rates of interest to peasants. The peasants wouldn't be able to pay it, and the landlord would annex their land and then make them work under them for generations together. They would have to serve the landlord. So this the government abolished somewhere in the 1950s or 60s in India. So it was there for a very long time, for nearly like uh, 200 to 210 years actually. So
Wow.
the Zamin, yeah.
That's so how would they get the land? They would lend them money or something?
Yeah. They would lend peasants money because the British would create these type of famines, man-made famines. Like Bengal was a man-made famine. So in many cases, the peasants didn't know what to do. They needed some money for their livelihood. They would go out of desperation to the zamindars or landlords, borrow money from them, and they would be unable to pay the interest rate. Then they would have to sell zamindar would annex their land and make them work like along with their generations for a very long time until they paid the debt. But the debt could never be paid because the interest itself was so high. Then the government had to step in later on and abolish the system.
Well, the famines, I mean, that's horrible, because you probably know about the one from the 1870 to like 1900. I think 30 million people were
Bengali, the great Bengal famine.
It's really, they also call it the Victorian Holocaust. And it just, when you look around the world, and it's an imbalance of stuff like that, because if you go around the same years to, say, Australia, and you see the treatment happening to the Aborigines over there. So it's like you have the thing happen in India, in America, And this is simultaneous. Latin America, Australia. It gives the signature of being planned. It definitely gives the signature of being planned by something behind the scenes that is not going to be talked about in the history books and stuff. So it's going to require thinking, basically.
Yeah, that is true, MD. And the thing is, those days in the 19th century Europe, when nation states had finally come into existence, this extreme form of national and patriotic love became so strong that having colonies was a matter of prestige. So, like, what happened was that this Germany, which was new on the scene, became very ruthless too, and they were defeated that time in the First World War. Japan fought with alongside the US and defeated the Germans and took their possessions away in Southeast Asia. And though in those days, even Italy fought against Germany. Actually, it was Germany, Austria, and Hungary against the whole world, like the whole of Europe and the US and Japan. So Japan actually wasn't treated well because they looked upon Asians as inferior, but Japan industrialized very quickly, and like it decided that it should become extremely ruthless so that it should never be invaded by anyone again. The atrocities they committed on the Chinese and the Southeast Asians was so horrible. Even the Nazis said, "You've gone too far." Actually,
Yeah, that was the Japanese, right?
yeah. The
Yeah.
Japanese, the I can't we can't say the grape of Nanjing.
Oh
Actually,
yeah,
that
yeah. No, that was actually a book. Yeah, The
yeah,
Rape
yeah,
of
yeah,
Nanking. Yeah, I think
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's on Amazon, so they it's a legal book. And it's actually, yeah, the atrocities goes like it's on a Holocaust level. It's just like
yeah,
holy
yeah.
smokes. Yeah, it really yeah, I was even like, wow. Yeah, The Rape of Nanking is a very it's almost unbelievable when you think about why humans would do something like that to each other. I mean, it really makes you wonder, like, what, most of the killing and these wars comes from people following orders, not
Yeah,
necessarily, yeah, the person, like two people having a dispute with each other or having a personal thing. It's like it's literally people using other humans to go end other humans. And
correct.
that's, yeah, what war is. When you think about it, it's like, what the heck? You got people that sit back and watch it like a chess game.
Hmm.
It's crazy. It's really, really crazy when the way they build these things up, and then they'll they'll promote it. Wars easily can be said, in my opinion, to promote stuff. It
Yeah,
definitely we have the movies promoting when they were doing the I think it was the Afghanistan in the beginning. They had like all of these war movies. I think even from the 90s, like the late 90s, they were pushing, with the Pearl Harbor stuff, and we saw it in the earlier years with Platoon and other ones in the 90s. Hamburger Hill. Hamburger Hill, they always trying to romanticize something, trying to make a genre. And Hamburger Hill that this colonel made them fight to take, he told them to abandon it after they took the hill, just to prove, and they lost a lot of life, they were saying.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, that colonel was eventually promoted to a general. That was the craziest thing, because they would do that, officers, to try to get rank, it was said. That they would, try to do some so-called daring stuff, but basically they're not risking their life, they're risking the life of other men. That's crazy. And imagine, you think about that, these guys were told to take this hill, and they're going crazy, losing soldiers, this and that, finally get the entrenched Viet Cong out, and they take the hill, only for them to be told, okay, move on. And then they know once you leave the hill, they're going to reoccupy it because you got to stay
Yeah.
on that high ground. And I don't know how many, let me see, how many lives lost on Hamburger. Yeah, and you know, the Hamburger Hill, they call it that because it was turning people into hamburger, basically. So they're saying like, they're saying close to, I think 100 was it? The 300. It's saying soldiers. Oh, 72. So 72 soldiers got killed. 372 got wounded, with some reports placing the death toll maybe at 100. And North Vietnamese fort, they suffered, they say 630. But when you think about it, this was another thing I had heard from a vet. He was saying that when, and matter of fact, I think there's videos on YouTube about people talking about this, where they he was saying that, let me look at this figure again. Yeah, he was saying that, like, they're saying 630, right, of the North Vietnamese casualties. He was saying they would be encountered squadrons that would off like 80 Americans, and they would only get 5 of them. And then they would report in like, oh, they offed, you know, they killed like 80 Viet Cong. So when you think about it, it's like, okay, yeah, because if they would have print, oh, they killed 80 US soldiers, but only 5 of them were killed, it would lower the morale of the soldiers that are basically put out there as cannon fodder. Who knows what's going to happen to them? I mean, we saw with the colonel just basically trying to get a promotion, from what people were saying, risking, well, not risking, but actually costing a lot of soldiers their lives. And these guys, basically, you think about it, what purpose in life? It's like, so how, you know, this guy doesn't know who these people are entrenched in this hill in a foreign land, basically Vietnam, and trying to take this hill over just because somebody told him that you got to take that hill over. I mean, that's some serious psychological power. That's some and then to build it up to that too, to build it up to that psychological power, to say, okay, look, we're going to provide you. We already know what you need. We're going to provide you with all of that, health care, all of this stuff. But you know, this is what you got to do. And the crazy thing, when I look back at the whole Vietnam era thing, it's unbelievable just studying it, looking through it, and then knowing people that had went there, a lot of older people that were in Vietnam, and seeing how it affected them. You know, I remember there was a guy, he worked at the store, and he was a veteran that was he had got some serious stuff happen to him in the war. And I could see, like, wow, man, how do you get somebody to go do that? To go, you don't know these people. I want you to get on this plane and go over there. Now, when Pat Tillman went to, I think it was Iraq, that's when he realized, he said, hey, wait a minute, this isn't a war. This is like a slaughter, and it's like an invasion, basically. But, you know, you think about it, it just, that's the sad part. That's the sad part of not being awake, because if you're not awake, you're susceptible to this. Divine says friendly fire was when their own platoons would kill their own when their buddies resisted what they were being asked to do. Yeah. Friendly. It's crazy. So murder is called friendly fire when it's the same side killing the same side. And I think, if I remember correctly, this is a fun fact. When they went to Afghanistan, of course, America and America Light, Canada, was there, and nothing against my Canadian friends. when they went over to Afghanistan, the first casualties in the Canadian military were by the Americans. I mean, you can't even make this stuff up. And I'll triple check it because I've already checked it twice before, because I think I had mentioned it a while ago. First Canadian casualties in Afghan. So let me see. Azroon, you had some?
No, this is like surprising actually, MD, that the first casualties actually like they were Canadian, and by mistake it was done by Americans actually.
Yeah, it says here the first Canadian casualties in Afghanistan occurred on April 2002 when a U.S. F-16 pilot, this is crazy, so mistakenly bombed Canadian troops in a friendly fire incident at Tarnac Farm. 4 soldiers from the 3rd Battalion, Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry, were killed, and 8 others were injured. Yo, this is crazy, man. It's like, this is some, you think about that, it's like, wow, so Canadians went over there to invade somebody else's country because of what some guy said in an office wearing a suit. I just, it boggles my mind, man. It shows me how like effective the psychological tool is. That's how they control us. Azroon, you had something?
No, I just wanted to know, find out, like this is very strange, MD. Every time, other than Genghis Khan and Alexander, every invader in Afghanistan has been unsuccessful. Like America had all the weapons that anyone could ever dream of, and yet they failed. Russia too was a superpower at one point, the Soviet Union, and it failed in Afghanistan. But the thing is, like Genghis Khan was so ruthless. Actually, he didn't. At least like Americans were considerate to not kill civilians. Genghis Khan would kill all the civilians as well. He would. He was pretty horrible actually at that way. And
Well, think
Afghanistan
about
was.
this. Think about this. When they say he did that, right? And I'm not saying
Hmm,
he didn't, but
hmm,
remember, in comparison, there were civilians in villages
hmm,
across America that were slaughtered even worse because none of
yeah,
them are here.
correct.
So when we look at that, I'm not saying Genghis Khan didn't do some crazy stuff, but it's kind of as if, because I've heard the stories too, like, oh, this, he ruled the most, conquered most of the world, this and that, but it kind of distracts from saying, well, wait a second. If you look at America, this is a big land, and if you look at like how we talked about all of these countries, France, Dutch, Netherlands, Portugal, Spain, England, they all, Germany, Italy, they, they're, if you group them into saying, okay, all of these countries, we see that it was some type of pre-planned agenda. And now Portugal has all of the wealth and resources of Brazil. France has French Guyana. The Dutch have Suriname, and this is in South America. Then Venezuela, then Guyana. The English have Guyana. Then Venezuela, Spanish. Colombia, Spanish. Panama, Spanish. Costa Rica. And if you go back into South America, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia. And then now all of that is Spain. But then as you go to Brazil, of course, Portugal. And then if you go up to the Caribbean, some of the islands, French, some Dutch, some English, we start to see like, wait a minute, this was way more material than Genghis Khan had invaded. But we're being told, and I'm not saying Genghis Khan didn't do a lot of slaughtering according to the history. I'm just saying that this is a lot too. When you think of the entire Americas, this is transcontinental type of stuff. I think Genghis Geng was just he was only doing Asia. I think they
Yeah,
did try to sail over to Japan,
yeah,
but I
yeah.
don't know if that was Genghis Khan or his
That,
son.
that was Kublai Khan, his grandson. They were defeated twice by a divine wind called Kamakezi, and then the samurai came and slaughtered the rest of the Mongols. So their invasion of Japan failed. Their invasion of Vietnam also failed, and
Hmm.
they came to India once. Then Alauddin Khilji slaughtered a lot of Mongols. So they refused. They didn't come to India again. So in India they failed. They failed in Vietnam, and then they failed in Japan, and yeah, I think I forgot which other place they failed in. Indonesia. The 4 countries they failed in.
Wow, I didn't know that. Yeah, I knew about Japan, but I didn't know about the other ones. So
Oh,
in India they failed, and what was the other one? Vietnam.
Vietnam and Indonesia.
And wow, wow, that's something, man. Yeah, it says Kubla Khan. Yeah, you definitely. I remember it was something where they say the Japanese had 3 different groups, and one of the groups was a priest group, and they were doing like some type of meditation. And I guess they were trying to say that was why they were able to influence the weather and cause storms to affect the ships of Kubla Khan, and they had to retreat because they had almost succeeded in taking over Japan, I think.
No, no, they didn't succeed. The invasion fleets first they sent the ambassadors. The ambassadors
Yeah, no, I'm not saying they succeeded. I'm saying they inflicted damage, but they got defeated by Japan, right? Are you there? Azroon? I think we lost Azroon. But yeah, Kubla Khan, I'm looking at it here. Yeah, he was the 5th Mongol emperor. Azroon is on, man, with the on target with the knowledge. Yeah, friendly fire. When I think about that, it's like wow. Friendly fire. Yep. It just, man, the words that they make up, ethnic cleansing. It's like wow. It's like, oh, you mean murder again. It can easily be attributed, but wow. I think Azroon had to hop off. Mr. X might be out. The mine. Well, let me see. Yeah. We'll stream tonight.
We'll stream tonight. Sorry about that, MD.
Yeah. No, it's cool. It's cool.
Back.
Yeah, I'll prepare some. We'll do the Alexis was saying the Civil War. Yeah, I'll put together some stuff with the Civil War. And yeah, we'll have a show tonight. You guys take care. Have a good one. We'll talk
Have a
tomorrow.
good night.
Okay, good night. Sorry, I didn't add much to the conversation.
No, it's okay. It's cool. All right.
Good night.